So this is the first in a series of videos that I'm going to do, taking a look at some of the gear that I use when I'm camping. We're going to do a look at all sorts of miscellaneous gear. Then I'm going to do another video which will go more in depth into some of the other gear that I use, some of the backpacks that I use. We'll take a look at the tents that I use. I think I have a bit of a tent addiction. I have many tents that I use. So that'll be in another video. And then, I'm going to take a look at some of the winter camping gear that I use specifically for winter, and any other gear that comes along. These videos will be just sort of a general overview of some of the gear. I will do more in-depth reviews or demonstrations of the gear in the field once I'm able to get out there. Right now, spring is just starting. It's not spring up north yet where I want to go camping. We're at that awkward time of year where it's not spring and it's still not quite winter. So that's why we're doing these videos inside and now. Okay, let's take a look at some of the gear. Let's start with some of the sleeping gear. Obviously, a sleeping bag. I've used many sleeping bags throughout the years. This one is a Sail brand, rated down to -5. It's a mummy bag. It's a little bit bigger in terms of size than my older mummy bag, which was rated down to -12. And I like the fact that this is a little bit bigger. I like to have a bit more room inside. I don't like the constricted feeling that a mummy bag often gives you. So, but I do still have my -12 bag in case it is going to be a bit colder. But I've been using this one since last year, and I really enjoy this. Now, what I can do if it's potentially going to be cold is use my fleece insert. These are great. They add a few degrees of warmth, and this is also a mummy bag. So I have this inside the other bag and just keep myself nice and cozy. I also have a really lightweight woods insert. This is really just a thin bag that you pull up over yourself inside the sleeping bag, and it does add a little bit of warmth. I have already ripped it because it doesn't have a zipper, and as you're trying to get out of it, you're not quite out, and when you try pulling your body out, it did rip along the seam. But it's good in a pinch, and it's small. Now for sleeping on, you want to have sleeping pads, something to either keep you off the ground, or if you use a tent like I like to use my tent style tents which hang in the trees, you still need some insulation from the air below. So I use a Thermarest. This has been my go-to for years now. It's really lightweight. It blows up to about that thick, and just enough to keep the warmth, especially in the tent style tents when you're in the air. It's not a lot of padding, so if you are on the ground, you're gonna feel it, but it will keep you a little bit warmer. I do also use a tent style sky pad made by Climate. I love this bag, or this pad. It blows up much thicker than the other one, keeps you incredibly warm, and it's incredibly comfortable. The only problem I've had with this is I have sprung a leak. I have not been able to find where the leak is yet. So if I'm going to use this, which I still do, I have to blow it up 2 to 3 times throughout the night. You'll notice when you're suddenly either lying on the ground or a little bit chilly, it's because it's deflated. But when it's working, this is fantastic. Also related to sleeping, pillows. I have this little Misc blow-up pillow. It's handy, it's small, can stuff in your pack really easily, and it's fairly comfy. Because you blow it up, it's not really squishy. It's comfortable, but your head's bouncing off it, and it can slide away. I do also use an actual pillow. There was one time I was heading up camping, realized I'd forgotten that little pillow, stopped at, I think it was a grocery store, and bought one of these outdoor patio furniture pillows. It's a little bit bigger to carry around, but I often either attach it to the top of my backpack or stuff it in the top of my backpack. And I just like this because it is more a real pillow, and I do like to have a pillow under my head. Other basic gear that you're gonna need when you're camping: a flashlight. When you're out in the woods, in the dark, you need a flashlight. You gotta be able to see what you're doing. I have a few flashlights. This is just a little flashlight. Takes a single AA battery, which is really handy. It lasts quite a long time. I do also have a headlamp. Headlamps I find to be the most convenient because you can put it on and have your hands free to do whatever you want. But sometimes you'll find one might be more useful than the other. If you want to be looking around, obviously this one. If you want the convenience, the headlamp, and this one has the red, so you can keep your night vision, and then multiple levels of brightness as well. So I use this most of the time, and this some of the time. I also have for in my tent for lighting, I have a couple of lights. I have this little light which has solar panels. So you'll charge it up in the daytime in the sun. You can turn it on. It's got 3 different levels of brightness and then a flashing level there. And this is handy. I've hung this inside my tent or outside the tent as well. And then more recently, I've bought this Luminade light. Now this one blows up, so it becomes a cube basically. If you pull it out there, you can get some air in there. It's got multiple levels of brightness and a flashing mode as well. And I really like this. This is nice because it packs up nice and small, and it's waterproof. It's also solar, of course. You charge up in the sun as well. You can also charge up with a USB cable at home ahead of time so that you're ready to go. So that's what I use in terms of light. Oh, there is one more thing that I use for light, and that's this great little Uco lantern. I used to have these before, a long time ago. I had a couple of these, and just recently got another one. It's got a candle inside, which remains up at the top, and provides a reasonable amount of light. You can hang it outside your tent. You can hang it inside your tent, as long as you keep it away from the edge of the tent. And this keeps it at a fairly good distance, so it's pretty safe in the tent. One thing to remember with this, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's done it. When you blow it out, remember, the top is still hot. I've done it a couple of times where I've blown it out and thought, oh, I better close it up. Put your hand on top, push it down, and get a nice burn. So yeah, it does stay hot for a little while, so don't close it up before it's cooled down. The candles for this last about 9 hours, so it gives you plenty of light. You could leave it all night if you wanted to. So these are really handy. Of course, there's all sorts of miscellaneous things that you're gonna wanna have. You're gonna wanna have your emergency whistle in case you have an emergency. Wear it around your neck, so when you're hiking, it's better to have it with you than not. Obviously, I have a pocket knife. This works really well. Various little straps, so you can bind stuff together. Carabiners, always good to have a few extra carabiners so that you can hook things onto either your backpack, tent lines, whatever you want. Now when you're camping, you need to have a fire at night. You don't need to, but it's nice. Everybody likes to have a campfire. You may be using it to cook, you may be using it just for the enjoyment of having a campfire, but of course you gotta start it. So, lighter, various lighters. You can use any kind of lighter you want. These are good. I like the fact that you can point the end in, these barbecue lighting kind. Only thing is, I find that these don't work so well when it's cold or sometimes when it's damp. In the winter, these are practically useless. If it gets too cold, you cannot light these. It's practically impossible. But for the most part, in the spring, summer, these are great. Also have fun lighting the fire different ways. Magnifying glass. I mean, this is kind of big to bring around, but if you want the challenge of lighting a fire with a magnifying glass, there you go. Of course, it only works when it's sunny. Do also have a flint and a magnesium stick. So this, you scrape the magnesium, spark a spark into it. It'll catch in amongst all the kindling that you have, and there you go, fire. And then, of course, I also use matches. These are, I think they're called storm matches. They're short. They come in a waterproof case. They have stuff to burn all the way down the end, so they'll stay lit. Once you strike it, it burns quite fast, but you've got a good flame there for a good amount of time. So these are great if it's slightly wet out. You're going to be able to get a good flame from one of these right off the bat. So they're really good. You should also have a first aid kit. Got some bandages in here, a little bit of medical tape. I've got some Advil, painkiller in case you get a headache or hurt yourself. Always have at least a little first aid kit with you. One of the most useful things when you're camping is rope. So I usually bring a variety of ropes. These are the ropes I often tie my canoe on the top of the car. Bring them with you if you want extra rope at the campground. I've also got bungees. I don't always bring these, but if they're in my kit, they usually end up being used for something. The only thing I don't like about bungees is, of course, they tangle on each other and get, you try pulling one out and you have a whole nest of them come out. But bungees are also useful. Got a bag full of paracord. Paracord for me is the most useful rope that I find I ever use out there. First of all, it's long, it's lightweight. I use it to tie out my fly on the tent. I use it to string up things that I need to string up. So I have a whole bag full of these. I do find using the bright orange ones is a good idea. I do have some darker color ones as well. However, when you're walking around the campsite and you got these little thin lines going places, let's say holding your fly out for the tent, it's good to be able to see it, and these are really visible. When you're canoeing, you need to have a throw bag in your canoe, so that's what I've got here, a throw bag with a 50-foot rope. I also use this to hang my food over the tree because this is easy to throw over a tree branch and then use it to haul up my food bag. Now, I don't always bring this, but if I want some extra comfort when I'm lounging about, I've got a little hammock and the straps that go to hold it up. The hammock itself is really light. I mean, weighs probably as much as the straps. So it's just if you don't want to have the extra weight, I'll often not bring this, but it's really nice to be lying out in a hammock when you're camping. So one of the things I love about winter camping is the fact that there's no bugs. But once you hit spring, oh boy, there's a lot of bugs. So some kind of bug repellent is really good to have. Yeah, I don't like bugs. I'll often wear a bug hat just to keep them off my face. Even if I'm using a bug repellent, I'd like to keep them away from me. It's annoying to have bugs flying around your head. So at least the bug repellent will help keep the bugs away and you won't get as many bites. Also, you're gonna be out in the sun, hopefully, unless it's cloudy and raining. So sunscreen, you don't wanna get yourself burnt out there. Last spring, we were camping, it was cooler. I didn't remember to bring the sunscreen, but it was quite sunny and there was no leaves on the trees yet. So there was really nowhere to get out of the sun. And I ended up with some pretty good sunburns on my arms, and that's never fun. A mug. This is a cool little mug. Has this sleeve with the handle, and then this is the cup part, so you can take this out, wash it. It's also got a nice lid on top if you want to, keep whatever you have in there. If it's warm, keep it slightly warmer. You can open it up, drink so you don't spill. So nice little mug. Also water bottles, a variety of water bottles. Insulated water bottle, non-insulated water bottle. Water bottle with a cap that you just unscrew and then drink out of it. Another one with a cap that you can leave on and drink out of. I'll use either of these. Yeah, they're both good. This holds a little bit more than this. Some other miscellaneous stuff. Some spices. It's nice to have spices when you're cooking. Occasionally I'll bring my binoculars. It's always nice to be able to see what's across the lake. It just depends on whether I'm going to be carrying a lot more gear. So that will determine whether I want the weight of the binoculars in my pack or not. So when you're out in the backcountry, you need something to drink. You've got water all around, but you're going to want to purify it. So you can either use water purification tablets. sometimes the taste of those isn't that great. So I use a little water filter pump. So you put one end into the water, let it sit in the water. You have this other end, it goes on here, and you just pump away, pump it into your bottle or your pot or your cup, and yeah, you've got water. It takes a while. You've got to sit there, be patient, and pump it, but still well worth having. Now for cooking, you can use your campfire, which is what I use a lot of the time, is just the campfire, but occasionally it's either raining, you don't have a campfire, or you're cooking something that would be easier with controlled heat. So I do have a stove. It's just a little MSR stove. You bring the fuel along, but that's the thing, you've got to carry this, you've got to carry the fuel. If you're going for a long trip, one bottle of fuel is probably not going to last you, so you're going to have to plan around that. But yeah, I usually have this with me in case of emergencies, at least. And also, if you're having trouble starting a campfire, if you've got wet wood or it's raining, you know, a little bit of this poured on, you gotta be careful. It's a bit explosive, but that will also help you get your fire going. Oh, and for cooking on the campfire, I just bring one of these along. I mean, they're awkward in size, but it's extremely convenient to cook. You can cook, put whatever you want inside this, hold it over the campfire. You don't have to have a grill for it to sit on. You can just hold it out there, flip it over. It's really convenient for cooking. Now you're gonna wanna gather firewood. So you're gonna be looking for dead trees, dead sticks on the ground, dead branches, and some of that stuff you may need to cut or chop up. I have used a little camp saw in the past. The one I had broke. It wasn't that good. The blade was too thin, so you get a jam in a piece that you're cutting, and it just bends the blade. Frankly, the best one that Tim and I have used is one that he got at a dollar store. The problem is eventually the handle on that broke, so we don't have that anymore. So I'll sometimes bring my little hatchet, but often if we're canoeing, even though it's heavy, we bring at least one big axe. That way we can chop all sorts of sizes of wood up, even just with brute force if you need to, just chop through it. So we will often bring an axe along. And of course, you're also going to need various bags. I've got various bags here, various dry bags to keep stuff in. Dry bags are great. I prefer these to the stuff sacks because these at least are waterproof, so anything you put in them should stay dry. I'll often have my clothes, let's say in one like this size, even though that will be stuffed in my backpack, just so it's an extra layer of protection for my clothes. Sometimes the food will go in one of these dry bags, and then you hang it up in the tree. So various sizes will allow you to fit various things in. So dry bags are really worth having. That is it for the general gear that I take when I'm camping. I will be doing another video specifically on the different tents that I've used, also on the different bags that I've used. I'll be doing more as I have more gear. When we get to winter, I'll do one on specifically winter gear. I'll also do one, because I film all these our camping trips, I'll do one video specifically on the kinds of camera equipment that I'll take with me, ranging from the professional gear that I use professionally to some of the lighter weight, easy to carry stuff as well. So look for a video on that. But for now, I hope you found this helpful. I will be doing more in-depth demonstrations of some of this stuff when we get out camping. But that's it for now, and please like and subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you with more stuff. Okay, let's take a look at some of the gear. Let's start with some of my sleeping gear. Obviously, you have a sleeping bag. This is one of the ones that I use. It's a Sail brand, rated to +5. No, it's not. It's rated to -5. Okay, let's do that again.